My parents took my fiancé's side after she cheated with my brother. Now he's in a coma, and they want me to raise their child instead. I'm now 30. I was supposed to get married to my fiancée, but I found out she had been cheating on me with my brother, and the only reason they were even coming clean was because she was pregnant and wanted to keep the baby. My ex-fiancée, Karen, 30F, and my brother, Chris, 33M, had apparently been sleeping together ever since Karen and I got engaged. Karen and I had been together since junior year of high school, and we stayed together all through college. So getting engaged was just the natural next step after so many years together. But even after all that, she still chose to betray me with my own brother. It turns out that just a few days after we got engaged, Chris confessed to Karen that he'd always had feelings for her. He said he just had to tell her before she got married, because after that, he wouldn't be able to say anything anymore. That's when, apparently, she suddenly realized that she had also been catching feelings for him. Gradually, they'd even flirted behind my back at family events. Subtle things, but enough to build something between them. She said she wasn't sure about her feelings back then, which is why she stayed with me. I didn't find out any of this until 5 years ago, just a few months before the wedding, when they sat me down with my parents and told me they were getting together. Karen said she couldn't marry me anymore because she was in love with Chris, and she was pregnant with his baby. I was crushed, completely numb. I told Karen I wanted her to come home with me and end this thing with Chris, whatever it was. But my mother shut that down immediately. She made it very clear that nothing like that was going to happen. According to her, Karen and Chris had made their choice, and I needed to accept it and move on. I couldn't even believe it. My own mother was supporting this betrayal. At least my dad had the decency to look ashamed. He tried to comfort me, but Mom was all in for Karen and Chris. She even told me that if I had a problem with it, I should just keep it to myself. Karen was pregnant, and I had no right to cause her stress during such a delicate time. My mom had lost her mind over the idea of finally becoming a grandmother. She didn't care what I was going through. She fought me tooth and nail trying to justify what was happening. After that confrontation, Karen moved in with my family, because her own parents had cut her off when they found out what she did. Obviously, the wedding was called off. My parents covered the costs, so I didn't have to worry about that part. But I was cast out for refusing to speak to them. I've had zero contact with any of them for the past 5 years. The only one who even tried reaching out was my dad. But I didn't want to hear anything from him either, so I left it all behind. After I cut ties, it took me a long time to heal. Karen and I had been together so long. I really did love her. I went through a lot of therapy just to feel normal again. Even now, I wouldn't say I'm completely over it, but I'm surviving. Some other relatives stayed in touch with me though, so I heard bits and pieces. Karen had a son with my brother, and about a month after giving birth, they confirmed through a paternity test that the baby was, in fact, Chris's. So there was no need to ever contact me again. They got married and have been together ever since. I had assumed everything was going great for them, until about a week ago. Out of nowhere, my mother called me. That alone stunned me, because she was the one who supported Karen and Chris the most, almost obsessively. I was curious, so when she followed up with an email saying it was urgent, I decided to call her back. When I did, she answered in tears, and then gave me some shocking news. The doctors said there was no way of knowing when or if he'd wake up. The accident happened just last week, and only 3 days ago they told my family that things were looking very critical. That's when my mother decided to call me and inform me about it. At first I assumed she was calling to ask me to come visit Chris and support the family, and truthfully, I would have been willing to do that. As much as I've been hurt, this was serious, and it would have been a fair enough request. I wasn't going to turn my back on someone in that kind of condition. But then the conversation took a sharp turn. My mother said she wanted me to be there, for Karen and my nephew. I was confused at first. I didn't understand what she meant. Then she told me that she now expected me to step up, to fill in for Chris. I asked her to explain, and she said that since Chris was basically gone, I needed to take care of Karen and her child, in every possible way. She didn't just mean financially. She actually expected me to move in with them and become their provider. She said she would have taken them in herself, but she wasn't getting any younger and couldn't handle the responsibility. That's why she was calling, to inform me of this plan, and she expected me to give her an answer right then and there. Naturally, I lost it. For 5 years, she hadn't said a word to me, and now, out of the blue, she was asking me for something this massive? I get that Karen and her son are in a tough spot right now, but they're not my responsibility. They betrayed me. Karen never apologized, never showed any remorse, and now I was supposed to just swoop in and take care of her and her child? It was insane. I told my mother flat out that I wasn't going to do it, that she was completely delusional for even thinking I would. She started yelling and arguing, but I was done. I didn't have the time, or the emotional bandwidth, to deal with her nonsense. I hung up, then I blocked her number again. I tried to go about the rest of my day as normal, but I couldn't stop thinking about Chris and Karen. As much as I hated what they did, I did feel bad about what they were going through. Still, I wasn't going to do what my mom asked. It wasn't just inappropriate, it was weird. Chris wasn't dead, he was in a coma. My mother was acting like he was already gone. I couldn't shake the uneasy feeling, so later that day I decided to call my dad. I figured he'd be more level-headed. It was awkward speaking to him after 5 years of silence, but after some small talk, I asked how Chris was doing. He confirmed what I already knew. Things weren't looking good. Then I told him about the call I'd had with Mom earlier. I expected him to shut it down, maybe even apologize for her behavior, but instead he said he actually agreed with her. That hit me like a brick. My dad had always been the rational one, the one who at least seemed like he understood right from wrong, but now he was echoing her insanity? He said Karen and I had a history, and I was still part of the family, no matter what had happened over the last 5 years. That if the family could count on anyone, it should be me. That my mom's expectations weren't exactly unreasonable. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It completely threw me. Since then, I've had no idea what to do. For the past week, I've been avoiding all contact with my family, even other relatives, because I'm terrified they'll bring this up, that they'll pressure me, that I'll have to explain why I won't destroy my own peace for people who destroyed me. And honestly, I kind of feel like the bad guy here, because I'm refusing to step up for my family. And deep down, I know they probably do need me, if not financially, then at least emotionally. But honestly, I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I know what my mother asked of me is incredibly strange and unfair, but even so, I still feel guilty for rejecting it so quickly. I haven't even gone to the hospital to see my brother. I just feel too uncomfortable about the whole situation. I haven't spoken to any of my friends either because this is so personal. They know what went down with my family after the wedding got canceled, but this is something different. It's something even more bizarre. That's why I'm posting this here on Reddit, because I really need some objective opinions. Everyone close to me, whether friends or family, will have some level of bias. I need honest advice, because I swear I'm going to lose my mind if I don't find a way to deal with all of this soon. Lately, I feel like I'm slipping back into that same mental space I was in when I first found out about Karen and Chris. That dark, hollow stretch of my life where I couldn't stop thinking about them and what they did. It's taken me years to pull myself out of that, and I can't go back there. I won't. So please, whatever you have to say, even if it's harsh, just say it. Maybe hearing someone else's perspective will at least help me get my head straight. So, Aita for refusing to see my family or step up after my brother's accident? Hey everyone, I decided not to visit my family for now. It's all just way too much for me at the moment. I didn't even realize how bad my anxiety had gotten over the past week, just from the things my parents said to me. But I'm back on my anti-anxiety meds and doing my best to cope. The love and support I've received in the comments of my original post have been overwhelming. Some of you even reached out through DMs just to let me know I'm not alone, and I'm deeply grateful for that. Thank you. I've also opened up to a couple of my close friends about everything. I didn't want to, at first, but I knew I couldn't carry this by myself. They reminded me that I don't owe anyone anything right now. They also told me that not visiting was the right call, for my own well-being, that I have to prioritize myself, especially since no one else in my family ever did that for me. And they're right. Chris and the rest of my family have always put themselves first, so why shouldn't I? Honestly, I don't think I even owe them emotional support. They have each other. They can lean on one another. Meanwhile, I was left alone, completely abandoned, when my world fell apart. After the wedding was called off and I found out I'd been betrayed, my parents didn't stand by me. They chose my brother, the one who ruined everything, and cast me out. But all of that is in the past now, and I'm trying to leave it there. That's why I've blocked them all again. I'm sticking to my decision to cut off contact. I'm truly sorry about what happened to Chris. I hope he pulls through. No matter what he's done, I'm not the kind of person who wishes harm on anyone. I want things to work out for them. I really do. but I'm done. I'm focusing on my own mental health from now on. I'm also seriously considering going back to therapy because clearly this situation affected me more than I realized. The things my parents said got under my skin and stirred up all these old emotions I thought I had buried. So yeah, I think it's time I talk to someone, because as much as I'd love to pretend I'm okay, I don't think I am. Not really. Not yet. So I'm just going to look out for myself now. I heard from a few relatives that my brother's condition is still very critical, and there hasn't been any real improvement. It's been nearly 2 weeks since the accident, and he's still in the hospital. Things are really hard for the rest of the family, and I genuinely feel sorry for them, but there's not much I can do. Apparently, almost everyone who knows my family has stopped by the hospital over the past 2 weeks to visit my brother and offer their condolences about the terrible accident. Everyone except me. I probably would have gone too, but then I found out from some of those same relatives that my parents have been talking trash about me to anyone who's visited them. They've been painting me as the villain in all of this. They're telling people that they reached out to me and asked me to visit, and that I flat out refused. Worse, they're claiming I said things like, "This is karma for what they did to me 5 years ago," and that my brother deserved this. Let me be clear, I never said anything like that, ever. Some people actually messaged me to ask if it was true because, in their words, it didn't sound like something I'd say. I told them the truth, that my parents were twisting things, probably just to make me look heartless. Either they wanted a reaction out of me, or this is just who they are. But either way, it hurt. I've already been betrayed and cast aside once by them. Now they're spreading lies about me too? I'm just glad a few of my relatives actually asked me before believing it. If they hadn't, I probably would have lost my connection to the rest of my extended family as well. For the past 5 years, I haven't spoken to my parents, but I've still been in touch with my aunts, uncles, and cousins. They've supported me through everything, and I guess my parents couldn't stand that. So now they're trying to ruin that for me too. I honestly don't get it. Why do they hate me so much? I've never done anything to them. My brother and I were never particularly close growing up, and my parents have always favored him, ever since we were kids. But this feels like more than favoritism. It feels personal, and it's exhausting. Hi again. I posted that last update 2 days ago. Today, my mother showed up at my house. I had blocked them everywhere, so I guess she had no choice but to come in person. When I pulled into the driveway after work, she was already there, just waiting for me. Honestly, I didn't even want to get out of the car. I was already drained from the day, and the last thing I needed was another confrontation. But she spotted me before I could back out, so I had no choice but to talk to her. I wasn't about to let her into my house, though. If she stepped inside, I knew it would be impossible to get rid of her. So I decided to talk to her out in the front yard. That turned out to be a huge mistake, because eventually, she started yelling, loud enough for the neighbors to notice. It started off calm enough. She made small talk. I responded politely. But then, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I asked her why she'd been spreading lies about me, why she was making up stories to make me look like a monster to our entire family. I told her it wasn't fair. I never wished anything bad on any of them, not even after what they did to me. I just wanted to move on with my life, but they were making it nearly impossible. I'd been holding those feelings in for so long, they just came pouring out. I couldn't stop myself. I told her straight up that after everything they'd done to me, it was hard to even think of them as family, because they'd never treated me like family. And I was deeply disappointed in all of them. Whatever it was that she'd come to say, I told her it could wait. I had just gotten home from work. I was exhausted, and I wasn't ready to have this conversation. Not like this. In the mood to argue or discuss anything emotionally draining. She had been listening calmly up until that point, but the moment I told her I didn't want to talk, she completely snapped. She claimed she had only come to apologize for the very things I just confronted her about. She said that she and my father had initially been angry at me, furious even, because I refused to be there for the family or visit my brother in the hospital. But, according to her, after thinking it through, they realized they hadn't exactly treated me kindly over the last 5 years. And maybe, just maybe, that was why I was keeping my distance. She said she came hoping to patch things up, to reconnect, because during a time like this, she believed the family should stick together for emotional support. But when I made it clear I wasn't ready to talk, she flipped. She started yelling, right there in my front yard, and it quickly escalated. She told me I should be grateful I even still had a family after the way I reacted when I found out about my brother's accident. She said she had half a mind to cut me off for good and convince the rest of the family to stop speaking to me too. I didn't even understand what she meant at first. She then explained that she thought my response on the phone had sounded too indifferent, that I hadn't shown enough emotion, that I didn't sound sad enough. I mean, what exactly was she expecting? She wasn't even there to see how I reacted privately. Just because she didn't hear me break down on the phone doesn't mean I wasn't affected. I had made it clear from the beginning. I never wished harm on anyone, least of all my family, no matter how much they hurt me. Of course I was upset when I heard about my brother. Just because my voice didn't crack on a call doesn't mean I didn't care. But she wasn't done. She went on to say that my refusal to step up for Karen and my nephew only proved how little I cared about family. Once again, she was making up her own narrative to justify their behavior, twisting reality to paint me as the villain. I honestly think my parents have lost touch with reality, because none of this makes sense. It's manipulative, it's exhausting, and it's not normal. When she kept yelling, I lost the last bit of patience I had. I turned, unlocked my front door and walked inside. She tried to follow me in, but I slammed the door in her face and told her to leave. She kept shouting from the porch. I warned her I'd call the police if she didn't go, and only then did she finally leave, though not before cursing me out and saying I'd face the consequences. I have no idea what that even means, and frankly, I don't care. I'm not interested in decoding threats. I just want peace. I want to live my life without this chaos. Hello again. It's now been 26 days since the accident, and finally, some good news. My family didn't inform me directly, of course. I heard it from my cousins, but apparently my brother is finally showing signs of improvement. He's no longer in a coma and has started responding a little. That's a huge relief. I truly hope he continues to get better from this point onward. The past month has been devastating and stressful for everyone. Yes, even for me. Even though I've been cut off from the family for years, even though I've been treated like an outsider, and even though, technically, I'm not part of the family anymore. But the way my parents have acted over these past 26 days, it's really opened my eyes. I've seen a different level of instability and manipulation from them. It's become clear they've been channeling their stress and frustration into trying to control or punish me. After that last shouting match with my mom, I didn't hear from her for a few days. But then, my father called, asking me to be at me instead. He used a different number than his usual one, so I didn't recognize it right away. When I answered, he immediately started yelling, before I even had the chance to hang up. He was calculated about it too. He deliberately tried to catch me off guard, calling me at 5 in the morning, knowing I'd be half asleep and not thinking clearly. It took him 4 tries, but on the 4th call, I picked up. The moment I said hello, he launched into a rage. He called me an ungrateful child. He told me he wished I had never been born. He ranted about how I was a horrible human being for not visiting my brother in the hospital. He said he would make sure the rest of the family cut me off forever. He kept shouting for almost 5 minutes before finally hanging up. I didn't even get a word in. I was still trying to make sense of it all, half awake and stunned. By the time I realized what had happened, the call was over. He'd even blocked me. At the time, it wasn't funny. It was cruel. But now, I kind of find it darkly amusing. That's how desperate my parents are, to make me out to be the villain. They'll go to extreme lengths just to scream at me and blame me for everything. I've said it before. I really do believe they were just using me as a punching bag for their stress and guilt. They needed someone to direct their anger at, and as always, I was the most convenient target. The good news is, they didn't succeed in turning the rest of the family against me. My aunts, uncles, and cousins, they know I'm not wrong. They remember what happened 5 years ago. They know the full story. Now that my brother's recovering, I really hope my parents finally back off and focus on him instead of hounding me. Hello again. It's so strange to be back here after almost 3 years. A lot has happened since I last posted, and honestly, most of it has been for the better. I live in Germany now. I moved here for work about 1.5 years ago. I've also been seeing someone. My girlfriend and I have been together for 8 months now, and it's been nothing short of blissful. Over the past 3 years, I've had 0 contact with my parents, and if I'm being completely honest, that's been blissful too. I still keep in touch with the relatives who've always been kind to me, but as for my parents, no contact, no drama, just peace. As for my brother, he made a full recovery. It took him a while to get back to normal, but he's fine now. After his condition started improving, Karen reached out to me. She wanted to apologize for everything that had happened in the past. She visited me with a bouquet and said the apology was from both her and my brother. Apparently, my brother couldn't bring himself to face me because he was still ashamed of what they did all those years ago. But honestly, none of it mattered anymore. I told Karen the truth, that I forgave them, and that I didn't care. And I meant it. I really didn't care anymore. I was done with all of it. I had a whole new life ahead of me. Since then, I've been living here in Germany, and I've never looked back. My parents don't speak to me anymore, and I have no intention of letting that change, ever. I've found happiness. I've built a life where I'm safe, respected, and loved, and I'm never letting that go. Anyway, now that you're all caught up, I should get back to living that life. Thank you to everyone who showed me kindness when I needed it most. Those who commented, who reached out, who remembered me even after I stopped posting. Your support meant the world. Truly, thank you.